Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of In the Crease. I am Fiore, and once again, I have to do a solo gig here as my partner, color commentator, if you will, my inside man for all the little scoops and tidbits that we get regularly. Bob Nelson, unable to be with us once again in the studio, so as a result, I got to do this all on my own. But believe me, I've got a fun-filled show for you. We're going to talk about the Cups, not just the Stanley Cup, but some of the other Cups as well, as a continuation of what we did on the last show. Talk a little bit about the Conn Smythe Trophy. Of course, you know they handed out the awards. Malkin getting the MVP. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about some trades and things going on. Timmy Thomas causing a stir once again. And, of course, being that it's in the crease, we've got ourselves another winner for some great prize packages through our sponsor, Play It Again Sports. It is the only show you can watch that has true hockey news in it, true hockey insight, and not something that has been delineated from the gospel according to Bettman, nor something that's been put through the ringer cycle of the Penguins PR department. It's for people who really know the game. It's called In the Crease. Back with you here on In the Crease. Nice to have you along. And before we get into all of our hockey news, let's take care of some business, shall we? The show has a sponsor. It's Play It Again Sports out in Greensburg. This is the only Play It Again Sports in the entire Pittsburgh region, and it's one of the best. And I don't say that just because Bob Nelson works there. Give him a call. He will take care of all of your sporting needs, whether you want to get rid of some stuff and sell it either on consignment or what have you, or even if you're looking for some good quality merchandise, good prices, that's the place to be. Play It Again Sports in Greensburg, right out on Route 30. The number there is 724-834-1121. Once again, that's 724-834-1121. It's the place you want to go for all of your sporting needs. Hockey, certainly. With Bob out there, are you kidding me? But any sport that you want to play, they'll cater to your needs out there. Give them a call. Talk to Bob. He'll see what he can do for you. Things will work out great. You'll love it. The show is sponsored by Play It Again Sports, and as a result, they give us the opportunity to give away some prizes to people who watch the show and people who are part of In the Crease. And how we normally do that is quite simple. We go by the interactions from the official In the Crease Facebook page, and we'll plug up the URL for you there. It's www.facebook.com/inthecrease. That's easy, right? It's simple. Get on there. Make sure you click on like. And every time you either like the website or you interact with one of the things that are posted up there, your name is put inside the old Bernie Parent helmet that we normally have sitting on the desk. And just before show, we pick one out. Last time we did this, we were giving away bags for a while there from Play It Again Sports, and they were going over fairly well. They're nice bags, but on the last show, we tried something different. We tried giving away autographed photos, and these are authentic autographed photos from local players here who have made it big into the pros. And I say that they're authentic because each one comes with a letter of authenticity that certifies that the player actually did sign these in front of the person, and they're certainly worthwhile. John Zeiler here is a pretty cool guy. I think I mentioned on the last show, he played with my son Michael for a number of years, and they had a good time together. Anyway, we gave these away last time. They were a pretty big hit, so we brought them back again this time, and I want to say congratulations to our winner, Joe Tudor. That's Joe Tudor, Tutor. He was the name that we picked up out of the goalie helmet before we went in front of the cameras today. And these two authentic autograph photos will be waiting for you down here at the studio. Dave, I know I always do this to you. It's 5100 West Library Avenue. Is that correct?
Yes, that's thumbs up.
Okay, 5100 West Library Avenue. The easy way to remember it is we're catty corner from Bethel Bakery. Everybody knows Bethel Bakery. So just catty corner from there. Come right in through the police station. What, you thought they were going to let me walk into a studio without going through the police first? Come on, it's me. So walk in, have yourself a good time. These will be waiting for you, Joe. Thanks for interacting on the website. And once again, thanks to Play It Again Sports for sponsoring the show. Give Bob a call out there for your sporting needs. That number again is 724-834-1121. And again, if you want to interact with the show, check out the official In the Crease Facebook page. Show will continue right after this.
The American Legion honors our newest generation of warriors and veterans. Please join us in supporting and recognizing their unique contributions and needs. Go to legion.org/honor veterans to find out more.
Welcome back to In the Crease. The theme for tonight's show is prejudice. Because what we're going to do tonight is expose a lot of prejudice that's going on in the NHL. Let's talk a little bit about goaltenders, shall we? Last year, the Boston Bruins make a rather incredible run to the Stanley Cup. And let's face it, everybody who knows hockey knows that they probably would never have gotten there without Tim Thomas. Okay? So Tim Thomas not only wins the Stanley Cup, but he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy for the most valuable player. I don't think anyone will deny he was the most valuable player for the Bruins last season. And he also won the MVP, the Vezina Trophy for goaltenders. So it was a trifecta, if you will, for Timmy Thomas last year. Can anybody sit back and tell me why Jonathan Quick doesn't deserve the same honors? Where in the world will the LA Kings be without Quick's acrobatic, spectacular net play on their run going to the Cup? He was absolutely phenomenal. And even games where he played subpar, he was above average. Think about that one for a while, okay? Jonathan Quick wins the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs, deservedly so. He wins the Stanley Cup. But when it comes time to point out the Vezina Trophy winner, can they give it to Jonathan Quick? No. They give it to Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers. What a miscarriage of justice. Now, I know what you're all saying. Regular viewers of the show are going to sit back and say, but Fior, you've always said you don't like Lundqvist, you don't like the way he plays. I don't care about him as a person. I mean, I don't like the way he plays, and therefore you're prejudiced. No, I'm not prejudiced. If you take a look at the numbers, as far as save percentages were concerned, Lundqvist and Quick were pretty much equal. Quick had more shutouts, and more importantly, Quick had more minutes played. Tons more minutes, tons more games, racked up as good a numbers as Lundqvist did, and did it more often. He should have had the Vezina. He set the regular season record for shutouts for the past season. Not of all time, but for the past season. Why would he not be there? Now, I know normally my co-host Bob, he was rooting for Pekka Rinne. And I said, there's absolutely no way Rinne is going to get this thing. I don't care if he stands up on his head. So what does this have to do with prejudice? Simple. There is no way they were going to let another goaltender win the trophy. Why? Because Bettman has had this pilgrimage, this jihad, if you will, against goaltenders ever since he came into the league. Remember the whole pad measurement fiasco? Remember we're going to let the lights light up the crease every time a goal is scored. We're going to make the net bigger and wider and do all kinds. We're going to put a soccer net out there. You remember all that junk? Why? Because he wanted more goal scoring. And what did he get? He got better goaltenders instead. You know? So in order to keep the goaltenders down, the prejudice exists. Keep them down. Put them out of there. Don't forget also, something we'll mention a little later, Quick is an American player. Just like Thomas was. My God, you can't have two American goaltenders win the trifecta 2 years in a row, can you? No! Can't do that! Are you crazy? Henrik Lundqvist gets the Vezina Trophy. He didn't deserve it. I'll say it right now. He shouldn't have it. Jonathan Quick should. He should have captured all three. Bettman, I'll bet, is furious. He's probably choking on his morning coffee because the goaltenders are playing this well. It's not the NHL that he envisions. Let's talk a little bit more about some things that are going around here. Let's talk a little bit about prejudice in hockey amongst players. We know there's a huge prejudice that exists between American and Canadian players. Hey, if you need any more proof, go back to the show I did with Theo Fleury. It's right out there for you. You can hear it right from Theo's lips. But there is also a prejudice between leagues. And that is why Ondrej Pavelec of the Winnipeg Jets, who actually helped the Jets have a lot better year than people gave them credit for, is going to turn his back on the NHL and return home to Mother Russia and play for the KHL. The KHL made him a pretty decent offer, and Pavelec said, yeah, think I'll go home. Wonder how long that'll last. Dominik Hasek lasted, 3 years? Now he's begging his way back? Yeah, it's like that. Remember when the Pens won the Cup against Detroit? You remember all that back there? Yeah. Bob and I have said for a good number of shows that even though Bylsma was behind the bench, that was not Bylsma's team. That was Michel Therrien's team. And I think everybody knows that the way the Pens played defense that year was certainly the Therrien model. He is now with the Montreal Canadiens. I'm not really happy about that. I've got to tell you, I don't like the Montreal Canadiens. Never have, never will. Therrien's a good coach, and I think he'll do them well. He'll certainly make Carey Price look to be a better goaltender than he actually is. And finally, got to talk to you a little bit about prejudice. You wouldn't think this would happen in hockey, political prejudice. Tim Thomas came out with a statement, and if you haven't heard him, where have you been? He's going to take next year off. He said he wants to leave a year open for the 3 Fs, which are far different from mine, but that included family, friends, and faith. Needs some time off, and he's going to take a year off. And then he still owes 1 year to the Boston Bruins on the contract. He's hoping to come back the year after and finish out his contract obligations. I don't think anyone seriously believes that Timmy Thomas is going to come back. I have a feeling that this is his very graceful way of bowing out. He's already 38 years old. The next hockey season, he'll jump up to 39. And, he's ending on a high note. He took his team to the playoffs. They played exceptionally well in the opening round. Last year, he was king of the hill. And perhaps, this is his way. No, not that way. You would think that with a little bit of hockey knowledge, people would be a lot more on the websites where Thomas is mentioning that he's going to take the year off. Of course, people are throwing all kinds of opinions out there. You still owe a contract. You got to do the year. You got to do this. You got to do that. Buck up, all that. But you know what flooded the entire web? Timmy Thomas has taken his millions and gone to the Tea Party. What? Where do you people come from? Is there something in the air that when you breathe in, you turn retarded? Why would you even write something like this online? Just to show your absolute stupidity? Tim Thomas stayed away from the White House visit. If I were he, I would have done the same. The other players don't care. They're Canadian players. What do they care? If the team had gone to Canada to receive an award, Tim Thomas would have gone. See how it works? So he opts not to go. He opts to stay home. And now the websites are flooded with things that, he's just taking his millions and he's going to the Tea Party. That makes him stupid. No, it makes you people stupid for printing that stuff. I can't believe political idiocy has made its way into the realm of the hockey war. We have a whole lot more to talk about when In the Crease continues right after this.
The time is coming. There's no escape from the day you retire. And will you be ready financially?
Are you ready, dear?
Saving for your financial future doesn't have to be a nightmare. Choose to save.
The show is In the Crease. Welcome back. And the theme for today's show is prejudice. Now we're going to shift to prejudice of the media. Oh, and before we do this, let me point out a little, kind of an aside here. As you know, my co-host, Bob Nelson, who is not here tonight, unfortunately, is a huge Philadelphia Flyer fan and probably one of his favorite goaltenders of all time, if not the favorite is Ron Hextall. And now that the LA Kings have won the Stanley Cup, Ronnie Hextall will have his name on the Stanley Cup and get himself a Stanley Cup ring. This is something he could never do in his glory days with the Philadelphia Flyers. As much as I like to pick on Bob for being a Flyer fan in Penguin Country, I got to admit, when Hexy was playing for the Flyers, he was an awful lot of fun to watch. I know Bob played like he did a lot. Certainly I did. I was always played like a combination of Ron Hextall and more like Billy Smith, I think. I think I was thrown out of more games than I may have won. But bottom line is that was a great way for goaltenders to play, and certainly a great way to watch goaltenders back in the day. So Hexy has finally gotten his Stanley Cup ring and his name on the Stanley Cup. And I know Bob wanted to do 22 minutes of the 30-minute show just on Hextall, but we'll just give him that brief little thing since he's not here, and then we'll kind of move on again. Let's talk a little bit about prejudice in media here, if we can. And congratulations to Ronnie Hextall. It was on the last show that we not only gave you our predictions for the Stanley Cup, and Bob and I both picked the Kings, so we evened out on our predictions this year. We leveled out even, proving once again that great minds do indeed think alike, and we know what we're talking about. Not like the Afternoon Bloviator, who also made predictions and didn't have a single one of them right. Not one. Why do you people listen to this man? He is brain draining. We also told you about the Memorial Cup, the Calder Cup, all those other cups that were going on in hockey. Oh, and by the way, I got to say that let's talk about the Calder Cup, because after the last show, I received emails, people stopping me saying, you know what, you're so far off your rocker, because I picked Norfolk. I picked the Norfolk Admirals to take the Calder Cup. Everybody and their mother was saying, no, the Toronto Marlies, this is their year, they're going to take it. Yo, people, why do you doubt me when it comes to hockey? Why do you doubt me? Norfolk, congratulations, they won it. We also talked on the last show about the Memorial Cup. We told you about the London Knights and the Shawinigan, I think it's Cataracts, and did the whole play, told you about the winners, the losers, the whole 9 yards. After our show, when we talked about the Memorial Cup, after it aired, 3 days after it aired, some putz named Josh Yohe decides to show up at the Tribune Review and do an article on the two teams in the Memorial Cup. And I'm sitting back and I'm going, they have never covered this aspect of the sport before. But 3 days after our show airs, suddenly here's this article. And the article is written as if the Memorial Cup was still being played. It was over by that time. It was done and finished. But we get this, this is an exciting company. Do you think it was a coincidence? Do you really think it was a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. That's where the prejudice in the media is coming in. They want to listen to all these people who get on and say nothing but what Tommy McMillan tells them out of the Pens PR office. Everything has got the big spin on it, or everything comes from the NHL offices up in New York, so that Bettman is guaranteed. Take a look at Liam McHugh. If he comes back again for the next hockey season, somebody should put him out of his misery. Might as well just put Bettman in that chair, for crying out loud. But if you want true hockey news, this is the place where you get it. This is the place where it's unadulterated. Is there a prejudice against? Of course. Of course. Those people out there will tell you, why are you watching In the Crease? Why are you listening to In the Crease? Look, people, be smart. Get on the Facebook page, In the Crease. www.facebook.com, In the Crease. There is a posting up there, at least 4 or 5 different ones. Every week, we try to go from the humorous to the very serious on there. Interact with it. Your name will be put in the helmet. You could win some prizes, just like Joe Tudor did this week. And at least you'll be getting some real hockey news from people who know hockey and not people who used to pretend to be pro wrestlers. In the Crease will continue after this.
Find time to talk to your parents about getting older.
We can do it the day after I die, okay? I'm busy.
No matter who you are, it's not easy talking about aging. For help, go to voa.org/talk. A message from Volunteers of America.
Welcome back to In the Crease. The theme of tonight's show is about prejudice. We've talked about prejudice against goaltenders in this league. We've talked about the prejudice between Americans and Canadians, certainly the North American players against the Russian players, and we talked about prejudice in media. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about racial prejudice as it exists in the NHL, and believe me, it does. If it does not, strange things indeed are going on. But before we do that, let's digress just a little bit and give congratulations to Evgeny Malkin, proving to be the MVP for the season, last hockey season. He certainly deserves it. It was an award well worthwhile. And Bob Nelson called up by phone and asked me to relay to all of you watching out there that the fact that Evgeny Malkin won the MVP for the year demonstrates the availability of Sidney Crosby to the Penguins. I'm telling you, he's determined on having Crosby out here. They're still talking about trading Stahl again. Can you believe this stuff is even being bantered? I should have put that in the media segment. Let's get on with it must have been a good decade ago, probably even a little bit more. Bryant Gumbel came out with a statement, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the gist of the statement was that the sport of hockey would never be considered a serious sport until there were more black people playing it. Now, what should have happened that decade or so ago is that people should immediately held up Bryant Gumbel for the racist that he is. Oh, you don't believe he is? Have you ever seen his show on HBO? Right. Okay. So instead of excoriating good old Bryant and putting him down in his place, the commissioner of the NHL at the time, Gary Bettman, who's still around, coming straight from the NBA, took Gumbel's words and said, he's right. How did this happen? This is why whenever there is a black hockey player, it doesn't matter where he's come from, what country, what part of Canada, what part of the... Totally irrelevant. As long as there is a black player on a team, every time the NHL Network or now NBC cuts to a commercial break, you get a shot of that black player. It doesn't matter if he was on the ice. It doesn't matter if he missed the last 4 shifts. They'll find him out and they'll shoot him before they go to the commercial break because somehow this adds legitimacy to the sport. Have you been to Canada lately? Have you been to the Great White North? Do you know how our neighbors up there think about all this stuff? You should, because it is so blatant, it's almost nauseating. Now you're going to say, Fiore, you're going off. This is as bad as the Timmy Thomas thing. No, it is not. Let me tell you why. By the time you have watched this show, the NHL draft, which is being held at the Consol Energy Center, will be over and done with. Actually, as we're taping it, the draft hasn't occurred yet. It's a couple of days before the draft. I'm not going to sit around and I'm not going to tell you who I think they should pick, why they should pick. That's a fool's game. And I'm going to let the other fools in town do that. Why don't you turn into Porky Madden? See what he has to say. Like I said before, he hasn't been right on any prediction at all he's made with hockey this year, so I'm sure he'll turn over a new leaf and get this one right. Instead, what I would like to point out to you is the racism that's occurring inside hockey in the NHL draft. And pardon me, for most of these players, Bob always takes care of the wingers and the defensemen. I don't do that. I look at the goaltenders. And the number 1 ranked goaltender is Malcolm Subban. Now that name is going to ring a bell because his older brother PK Subban plays for the Montreal Canadiens, whom I hate. Okay. PK Subban is, how shall I say this delicately? Well, I won't say it delicately. He's not well liked. There's a lot of people in the NHL don't like him, players. In fact, no less a luminary than Don Cherry has preached to PK Subban about his playing style, about his locker room etiquette and what have you on numerous occasions. If you don't have Don Cherry on your team, folks, I mean, how many toes do you have to step on before you realize this isn't going to happen? The Subbans have 3 brothers. They're trying to be, I guess, like the Sutter brothers or what have you. Malcolm Subban is a goaltender. and he's ranked as the #1 goalie in the upcoming draft. Folks, there's no reason he should be, other than the fact that the boy's black. That's it. That's the only reason. They have another brother, a younger brother, who's playing, I believe, with the London Knights currently in the OHL. And to be honest with you, he looks about the best of all three brothers. In any event, let me spell this story out for you, just a tad. Malcolm Subban listed as the top goalie in the draft. He's currently playing with the Belleville Bulls in the OHL. However, there is a gentleman who is further down the list, and this is just the North American goalies, named Michael Hauser, who plays for the London Knights. Michael's stats are incredibly better than Malcolm Subban. In fact, Michael Hauser has logged almost 1,000 more minutes in playing time than Malcolm has, yet he's not ranked as high. Now, you know, when they have the NHL draft, it's not just North American players. You have to go over to the international players as well. And if you take a look at the international goalies who are up for drafting, there are, give me a moment here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 players listed in the international goaltender availability picks who have better credentials than Malcolm Subban. Now, if you throw all the goaltenders together, you have 5 in the international goaltenders. You have 1 of the North American goaltenders. That's bringing up our pal Malcolm in 7th position. He hasn't even made the top 5 goalies selected. And you know, once you get into round 300, that's about all you're talking about, the first 5 goaltenders. So can you please explain to me why this man is put as the #1 prospect for goaltenders? The stats don't back it up. The only thing that does back it up, he's black. And the NHL has taken Brian Gumbel's words as gospel, and they want to promote the black player. Absolutely unbelievable. And if this kid goes first, what a travesty it is, especially to these international goaltenders who have logged more time, better stats, and deserve the better shot. It's something that's been around for a long, long time. You watch this coming NHL season, and you watch how many times it happens. I don't lie to you. I don't lie to you. Forget Brian Gumbel. He was a putz back then. He's still a putz now, and what he says is not important. You see, when it comes to the game of hockey, it doesn't matter how many different colors you put out on the ice. What matters is the quality of player. This is like the business who feels they cannot be a successful business unless they have a representative from every minority working in the office. That is nonsense. You have the best qualified people. That's how your business is successful. Whatever color is irrelevant, just so they're the best. That's not the stand that the NHL is taking. It's wrong, and it needs to be corrected. Will Bettman do it? Not on your life. You know what? That's all the time we have for today's show. We've got to say goodbye. I certainly hope next time Bob Nelson can be with us. We miss his keen insight into the show. Thanks for sitting through this with me. My second solo gig here. Don't forget, once again, that every time you interact with the show on the official Facebook page for In the Crease, you are entered into our contest to try to win one of our fantastic prizes from our sponsor, Play It Again Sports. Their number, once again, is 724-834-1121. We have got to skedaddle. Until the next time, on behalf of George, Dave, the entire crew, and Bob, who's here in spirit, when it comes to hockey, if you're in the game, you're in the crease.
Once you figure out how to speak your kids' language, well, you don't really have to say much at all. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.